A New York Times Siena poll shows that a majority say they do not feel confident in their ability to pay for housing, retirement, healthcare. More than half said housing and education are now so expensive that both have become unaffordable. Newt Gingrich joining me now. How does the president turn this around, Newt?
Well, look, I think he's moving in the right direction. First, the bill that was passed last July has very large tax cuts. People will be feeling that in the next 30 to 60 days. The amount of investment he's getting into the U.S., maybe as much as 17 or 18 trillion dollars, is going to create jobs. In the last 2 quarters, we saw much greater growth than people expected. And we also saw that incomes were going up faster than inflation. And that's a big step in the right direction. But look, one example. The biggest single affordability problem is healthcare. If we had transparency in healthcare, so you could measure cost, quality, convenience, and you could decide, not some bureaucrat or some insurance bureaucrat, but you. We think that would probably bring down, for the average family, from $27,000 to close to $20,000. It's a $7,000 a year advantage. So there are steps that can be taken. The president's already taking a bunch of them. More are coming. But this is a real problem. America became too expensive between regulations and the government and the policies of the Biden administration. Things just got out of hand. So we have to go back now and recreate the kind of economy where, 1, you get real growth, 2, you get higher salaries, and 3, prices drop. I think all 3 are going to happen. In fact, I think by July, you'll actually have a Trump boom, and people will look around. It's happened to Reagan. I mean, Reagan at the beginning of '83 was in big trouble. He was behind both Michael Dukakis and John Glenn. A year and a half later, he carried 49 states because the economy boomed. I suspect the Republicans will go into the fall campaign with prices down and with incomes up.
Yeah, booms are popular. Next one, Newt. A long meeting in the White House, 2 hours with Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski in the Oval Office. The result of the meeting is that Noem steps aside from running the show in Minneapolis. Tom Homan comes in and will report directly to the president. So she's been shifted aside. Should Trump fire Kristi Noem?
I'm not going to advise Donald Trump on who, he ran The Apprentice, and every week it ended with "you're fired." So I'll let him decide that. I will say that I think that ICE was not appropriately led. I think that Homan is going to be much more professional, much calmer. We have a big challenge. We have millions of people who came here illegally. We're in the process of getting them to leave. A lot of them don't want to leave. And on the left, the Democrats have decided that they're going to make this a huge fight, which is an absurdity. In essence, Schumer says, I'm not going to fund ICE, which means, is he for open borders? Which certainly Biden was. Does he want to go back to having Venezuelan gangs and El Salvadorian gangs? But the challenge is simple for people, for most Americans. We don't want to see conflict on our streets. Right. We don't want to see people who are put in a position, particularly if they're innocent, of having the government operate against them. So I think Tom Homan's 40-year career, he's solid, he's stable, he's professional, and I think he will do a dramatically better job of leading ICE to the right kind of behavior than the people did at Homeland Security. I was very disappointed in the absence of solid training. I mean, you can't put people out in the street to enforce police functions without very thorough training.
Got it. Newt Gingrich, always a pleasure. Thanks for being with us this morning. I'll see you again real soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Newt.